What's going on, people, and welcome back to another video. My name is Josh, and today we are mixing an instrumental. We're mixing a beat. This was provided by Sampa, a producer. If you want to check him out, his details are in the description below. Also, whilst I've got your attention, drop me a like. It doesn't cost you a damn thing, and it helps with the algorithm and all of that voodoo. But anyway, we've got our stems here loaded into our track, loaded into our session. Our drums are here at the top in red. Then we've got the 808 here, and then we've got our music. Music is usually anything that's kind of like guitars, strings, keys, anything that's musical, if you like, will go in this section. But we're going to start with our kick drum. Now, I usually start with whatever I feel I want to drive the beat. So in this occasion, with UK rap in general, it's usually the kick and 808. So we kind of want to mix around the kick, and I'll show you what I mean in a sec. But first, I just want to make sure that my stems aren't too loud. We don't want to drive our plugins too hard, so we want to make sure that things aren't going into our plugins too hot. And the way we're going to do that is I've got like a meter here on the instrumental track, and we want to make sure our kick drum, which of course is going to be the loudest part of the track because that's what we're mixing around, we want to make sure it's hitting this sweet spot. And the way we're going to do that is highlight all of our tracks, and then I'm just going to bring down the clip gain on everything until the kick drum is hitting 0. I also should note that all of my faders are down except for the kick drum. All right, so it's only going to be the kick drum that you're going to be seeing moving this needle as it stands. Okay, that's good for me, and that's all we're going to do. And I've just noticed that is really annoying, actually. So that's minus 14. So we're just going to undo that and then just make sure I've highlighted everything. And clip gain to minus 14. And we don't need to be super precise, if I'm honest with you. We just want to make sure we're not hitting our plugins too hot. So it doesn't need to be super precise, but once I know that I've cut everything by minus 14 decibels, I know we're in a good ballpark. So once we've done that, I'm going to start bringing our faders up one by one and just getting kind of like a static mix or a dry mix, whatever you want to call it, just using faders. So we're going to keep this meter up, and we're just going to make sure we're not going too high above. We're going to make sure that the kick drum basically is still the loudest part of our track. And we're mainly going to use our ears, but we can also use a meter as well just to reinforce what we're hearing. So we're just going to start bringing up some faders, starting with our 808, because like I said, our kick and our 808 is going to be the main parts of this track. So our drums and our bass is at a good level now in terms of volumes. That's kind of, I'm placing things where I want them. We want our kick as a driving force. I want the 808 sitting just beneath it, but obviously those low ends take up more of the frequency range. And then we just got like our hi-hats sitting on top. And we're gonna do a bit of compression actually, just so I can bring out those hi-hats a little bit. So on here, we've got our drum bus, which all of our drums are going to. And we're gonna activate this VMR here, which actually has these two plugins. These are my go-to plugins on my drum bus. The Monster, which is basically, I believe, an 1176 with all the buttons pushed in. And we're using this just to do some parallel. So 17.5%. We might bring that up, but let's hear how it sounds. Cool. And we're still not going too much over the 0 point, so we're still in a good space there in terms of in case of gain staging. I should also mention, I forgot to mention, as you can see here, I've got a VMR on every track. So all of our drums have got a VMR on there, all of the music and the 808. And that's because I've got this virtual channel on there. And that's because I want to give it kind of like an analog vibe. So that this virtual channel kind of gives us the sound as if though these stems are going through channels on an SSL desk. So if you can see here, the Brit 4KE is modeled after an SSL desk. However, our kick drum is set to the Brit N, which is the Neve. The Neve is kind of known for kind of like a fatter low end. The sound of a Neve has like a fatter low end. So on the kick and also on the 808, we're using the Neve setting there. Can I maximize this? Yeah, I can. And on the 808, we're using the Neve setting there just to give it that low end. But yeah, our drums are in a nice place in terms of volume. So let's bring in the next main part, which would be the Vibe Vox. I might actually put this whistle up here with the high perks, and that's because these high perks, which is usually anything like shakers, congas, certain hats, open hats and sound effects and things like that. I usually put on this high perks bus so I can control it all, but also I like to put these spreaders on there. And this is a Jason Joshua trick. If you've ever watched the Mix with the Masters, you'll know about this one. I really like how it sounds. It's two PS22s, is it called? Yeah, PS22s with these settings, these particular settings. And that, I'll show you exactly what it does. So if I loop just these perks here, you'll hear. Also, I want to just make sure I solo save this. So let me just, can you still hear me? Yep, you can still hear me. Good, good, good. So you see when I turn it off, it just gets so much smaller. It's a really nice effect because it doesn't sound too crazy. You know, sometimes a little micro shift and think in images like that sound a little bit too crazy, but this sounds really nice and interesting, especially when you're wearing headphones. So yeah, that's kind of like the quote unquote static mix in terms of just faders and volume. Let's start putting some plugins on these stems now. I'm actually going to start with a Pro Q2. Yes, I'm still using the Pro Q2, and I'm just going to do a little low cut. Oh, maybe not that steep. All right, I'll just do it myself then. Just going to do a little bit of EQ as well so we can make some space for the 808s. I actually want to add some EQ. I just want to add a little bit of top end as well. Cool. Let's see. I do have this drum parallel there, but we're not actually going to do anything on there, so we might as well get that off because we are already doing a parallel compression with the Monster here. Cool. Is there anything else I want to add to the drums? I don't do anything too crazy on my drums. We could use the standard clip, although I kind of want to keep it kind of clean because it's kind of like a vibey, clean beat. I don't want to go too crazy with saturation on the drums. Maybe on the 808 though. So let's move on to the 808. And we're going to do the same thing on the 808. We're going to do, well, I've just spoiled it for you. We're just going to try and isolate that 808. So let's solo this. So when I click that button there, it kind of solos the frequencies that I'm highlighting. So kind of everything above 500 hertz, we're cutting. Now, we're going to add it back in a minute, but in fact, that might be a little bit too. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna roll off the low ends. Basically, the reason we do that is we don't want to send too much information to. Again, it's the same sort of concept of when I brought down the clip gain, everything at the beginning. We don't want to drive our plugins too hard. So when we get to mastering, we don't want all of this low end information hitting our compressors and hitting our limiters because it's going to give us issues. So anything that we can't hear or we don't need, we're going to cut it. So yeah, let's cut that. Let's get some compression in there as well, actually. Let me get my meter back up, make sure that we're not doing anything too crazy. Could probably actually bring that 808 up a little bit. We're doing -3 decibels of gain reduction, so maybe we can put that up to, put the gain up to 3. You can hear when you get that that triple kick, the pop pop pump. You can see the needle kind of jumps quite a lot, but we're gonna address that in a second. But overall, I think that's good with our 808. Now we're gonna add these highs back in. So as you can see, I've split it in half. So if I copy these down, we'll mute this, and now we'll unmute this. And we want to add our highs back in. And I'm either going to use one of these two plugins. I think I'm going to use this. Let's use this. Hope it doesn't crash. Oh man, look at that. That is the last thing you want to see. Do you know what? I've been using my laptop at home, and it's just messing up all of my licenses because I've put a bunch of the licenses on my laptop at home, and it's just messed everything up. But anyway, we'll use the Green Screamer. The Green Screamer plugin by Plugin Alliance. So if you remember, on the lows, we cut everything above, what is this, 777. So now we're going to do this, bring in everything above 777 on this particular, on the base high basically. Maybe a bit lower because and then what we can do is add a micro shift and spread those highs to give the impression that the 808 is really big and wide without troubling the low ends. You don't want to put any spreaders on your low end unless you're trying to do something cool and new. But if you do that, you're going to lose a lot of the punch. You're going to lose a lot of the low end, especially if you're in a car or in a club or something like that. We tend not to add any kind of spreading plugins on the low end. We add it to the higher. We do something like this where we duplicate it and then we just isolate the highs and spread the highs, and that kind of gives it the impression that you are spreading the 808s or the kick drum without actually doing that. So yeah, let's go through some of these presets. I like usually just a hint. Yeah, I like that. I just had to switch my speakers to the big speakers just so I could really hear the low end there. Cool. Now, with the music, let me bring that up actually, the chords. I want to add some warmth to that, to the low end. Let's use the retro color. Let's turn down the noise and the wobble. Cool, so we added some tube distortion and a little bit of width there. Sometimes I add this wobble, but Sounds kind of cool. Maybe just a touch, just a touch. Maybe I've been using this in VMR quite a lot. It's quite nice, isn't it? It kind of gives it like a, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a, it's kind of like a wispy high end, like a real nice air, but it's not too jarring, especially on kind of vocal samples. I found I've been using it quite a bit recently. I think those highs on the 808 is a bit much. What do you think? Also, have I done a madness? Let me take that wobble off. I'm not too sure about that wobble. Let me take that off. Let's not fuck around too much. A big key for, I mean, if it's your beat that you're mixing, then, you know, it's on you, but you don't want to do too much messing around with other people's beats. We want to mix them, not change the way they sound or anything like that. Little bit less dry. Ah. Cool. I think that sounds good. Then we've got this drum and bass bus here. I was gonna maybe add something on the bass bus, but I'm not going to. We've got this drum and bass bus, and I love this Shadowy Hills compressor. We're gonna open this up, and also we're just gonna keep an eye on our meter again. I don't want to lose any kind of, I don't want to lose any punch. I don't want to lose our kick in the, I don't want it to get lost in the mix. So yeah, we're gonna kind of bring this compressor in and just keep an eye on this to make sure that we're not compressing the drums too much. Cool, so I added a little bit of compression on there. If I bring that back up, just add a little bit of compression. Can't talk. Added a little bit of compression. Just tickling it, just getting not even 1 decibel of gain reduction on it. Yeah, about 1 decibel gain reduction. And then we just brought down the gain a little bit there because it's gain staging. I saw that it was going over, it's getting a bit too loud, so I just brought it back down because sometimes those little changes, you start doing these little changes whilst you're mixing, and it's just getting louder and louder and louder, and you can't really tell because it's just getting louder and louder a little bit, like by little bit. So if you keep an eye on your meter on your master or whatever, that can kind of tell you, look, you're getting a bit carried away with these drums. Do you know what I'm saying? Cool. like I said, I'm gonna do a little bit of clipping. So we're gonna use the standard clip, and we're just gonna clip the very loud parts of these drums. I want to bring kind of like the low mids of the music, because it's kind of tough because there's no vocals. Obviously the vocals usually live in 100 hertz to like the 100 to 2K. That's like where the vocals take up like most of the frequency range, but this is just an instrumental. So I'm tempted to add some low mids, whereas usually if there's a vocal here, the vocal would take up that space. But because it's just a beat, I'm gonna boost it a little bit. But I guess what I'm saying is just a little disclaimer that if I was mixing a full track, I probably wouldn't be doing this boost right now, but it just feels a little bit empty in those low mids. So we're gonna boost a little bit in the music. I'm actually going to bring down the kick a little bit as well. I think the kick's a bit too loud. Just bring that down by like 0.5. Cool, and I think that's pretty much it. Let me run it from the top and get the main speakers on and have a proper listen. Wait, we're missing something. We're missing the intro. So what do you guys think? How does that sound to you guys? I think that sounds pretty good so far. That's pretty much kind of how I would space out a track. I think the most important thing to take from this is really focus on what you want to be the driving point of your beat, of your track. If you're a producer and you're making a beat, just really think about it. Do I want my 808 to be the driving force? Okay, I need to make sure nothing's getting in this way, because a lot of the time when I get beats sent to kind of, when an artist comes in with a beat, everything is just smushed up. You got the limiter on. Turn off your limiter first and forward. Fruity Loops, I think when you open it, the limiter's already there. Just turn that off whilst you're producing and put it on at the end. Just make sure everything's got space. Make sure everything just sounds nice and you can hear everything. you know, just you want to make it sound professional, not just like you've just thrown a bunch of sounds together. I get that not all producers want to mix, but you know, it's just the small things you can do. Like I said, just the fader mix at the beginning is really important. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I would kind of get started. Obviously, if there was a vocal involved, I would be mixing a vocal right now, but as it stands, I think this beat sounds pretty good. But let me know what you think. Drop me a comment, let me know what you think. If you think this is trash, let me know. I don't mind. I like constructive criticism. Also, the template for this will be on my Patreon, so if you want to grab this template, check the description below. You'll find my Patreon where all of my templates are. So if you're a template guy, if you're one of the hundreds of people, well, there's probably about 4 people asking about templates in my DM, that's where you can find them. Leave me a like. If you're new around here, subscribe. And yeah, look out for the next video. Ring the bell if you don't want to miss it. And I'll see you then. Peace. I want to play this beat again. It sounds cold.